Welcome back to The Explainer. Today, we're going on a profound, totally immersive, mystical deep dive into one of the most fascinating events in history, Israel settling in the land of Goshen. We're pulling directly from the Zohar and ancient Kabbalistic texts to uncover a massive secret, the sod, of what is actually happening beneath the surface here. Because trust me, this isn't just a simple historical migration. We are looking at a masterclass in cosmic engineering. Let's dive right in. Right off the bat, I want you to close your eyes for just a second and picture this scene in absolute cinematic 4K detail. You're looking at the land of Goshen. It is bathed in this beautiful, soft, golden light. Israel is settling peacefully, flocks are grazing, children are multiplying, and life is expanding in quiet, rhythmic abundance. But just beyond this glowing perimeter, the vast, shadowy, heavily fortified Egyptian empire looms over everything. The contrast is staggering. It hints at this immense concealed tension, and it brings us to the core paradox of this entire text. Why grow in the dark? I mean, why does the massive multiplication of Israel happen specifically within the most oppressive exile? The Hebrew phrase here is davka bitoch, specifically within. It completely defies logic, right? You'd think a divine nation destined to build an empire would incubate in a place of total freedom, but the sources tell us no. The ultimate expansion literally had to happen inside the crushing weight of Egypt.
To understand why, you have to listen to this incredible quote from the Shar HaKavanot, the Gate of Intentions. It says, "The exile was to refine the holy sparks, like an iron furnace, wherein gold is melted and separated from the dross." See, Egypt wasn't just some random punishment. It was a deeply calculated crucible. The darkness of Mitzrayim, of Egypt, was literally an iron furnace designed to melt down raw material, separate out the useless elements, and extract the pure gold. The exile was an intentional mechanism of refinement for scattered spiritual elements. And honestly, it's such a powerful reminder that sometimes the absolute darkest, most restrictive environments we face are actually acting as furnaces, refining our true potential.
If you're familiar with software architecture, you can perfectly understand Goshen using a sort of cosmic engineering analogy. Think of Egypt as the larger, inherently hostile root system. It's a massive, chaotic environment. Goshen, on the other hand, is a highly secure, partitioned subsystem. It's a protected sandbox built right into the hostile network. Within Goshen, resources can scale and processes can multiply under hidden supervision, completely insulated from the toxic code of the surrounding Egyptian system.
So, what exactly is being refined inside this sandbox? Well, the sources point us straight to the Nitzitzot. These are the holy sparks. They were scattered into the klipot, the dark, impure shells, all the way back during the sin of Adam. They got lost in the hostile matrix and desperately required extraction. But the Shekhinah, the divine presence, didn't just sit back and wait. She willingly went into exile. She dove deep into this hostile domain of Egypt to run a massive, covert operation to gather these lost sparks back into the system.
And when we map out the timeline of this cosmic extraction, it reveals a remarkably precise protocol. It starts at day 1 with the catastrophic fall of the sparks. Then, fast forward to year 1 of the exile, the deliberate descent into the hostile matrix of Egypt. But the system needs to stabilize, right? Enter year 130. The incubation phase in Goshen officially begins. Finally, we hit year 210, the system breakout, which we historically refer to as the Exodus. So the exile itself serves entirely as an incubation phase before that final glorious breakout.
To understand how this incubation actually works under the hood, we need to do an exhaustive Sephirotic deep dive into Malchut. Now, Malchut is the final Sephirah in the Kabbalistic tree. It represents the ultimate receiver, the vessel, and in this specific context, it represents Israel. Malchut is deliberately embedded deep within the external domain, the left side, the shadow of Egypt. Why? To gather vitality. Malchut acts as a secure, heavily encrypted receiver operating deep behind enemy lines. It is safely drawing in power while the enemy is completely oblivious.
Now, if the tech analogy didn't quite click for you, let's use a video game metaphor. Think of any massive strategy game you've ever played. Goshen is your protected player base. You spawn right in the middle of enemy territory. You urgently need to safely grow your population, farm resources, and level up your strength. So what do? You build a shielded perimeter, Goshen, where you can max out your stats in perfect safety right under the nose of the hostile map. It's the ultimate base-building strategy, completely preparing you for the moment you finally drop the shield and overwhelm the enemy.
So, what are the actual mechanics keeping this player base safe? The sources break this down into 4 highly precise, Sephirotic steps. Step 1. Dot, which is divine knowledge, is completely concealed from the klipot, the Egyptian shells. Step 2. The overarching structural system, known as Zayar Anpin, enters a state called Ibor, which literally translates to pregnancy or incubation. Step 3. Yesod, the foundation, acts as a hidden encrypted channel to constantly pump flow and vitality straight into Malchut. And Step 4. Because that flow is entirely hidden, the system multiplies in perfect security. The Egyptians look over and see nothing but a perimeter.
The texts describe how the enemy is blinded in such a fascinating way. It contrasts the back of the neck with the face. The hostile forces of Pharaoh, the sources tell us, could only grasp the back of the neck, known as the oref. It's a place of restriction, concealment, and narrowness, which, by the way, is exactly what the word Mitzrayim, Egypt, literally means, the narrow straits. But the true light, the divine life force, that flowed safely and secretly to Israel through the face, the inner protected channels of the system. The enemy was quite literally grasping its shadows.
This brings us to the numbers, and you know numbers are never random in these mystical texts. Look at the number 70. 70 represents the initial seed souls that descended into Egypt with Jacob. Think of them as a highly concentrated, compressed data packet that enters the incubation sandbox. 70 souls dropping into the darkness to initiate the extraction protocol. And those 70 are expanding toward another absolutely critical number, 10. The symbolism here is so profound. The goal is to expand from that initial seed toward the full, complete 10 Sephirot expression. So even while entirely concealed in the darkness of Goshen, the system is multiplying all the way from a singular point, rapidly expanding to the absolute structural maximum of a completed spiritual vessel. It's pure exponential scaling happening inside a closed environment.
The Zohar beautifully illustrates these mechanics using profound color dynamics. Bring back that 4K cinematic visual in your mind. Surrounding everything is black. This represents the outer klipah, the crushing, blinding weight of the Egyptian exile. But inside Goshen there is white, the inner light of chesed, of mercy, completely hidden from the outside world. There is brilliant green representing the vitality of Tiferet, truth and balance, growing peacefully. And finally, gold, the refined, purified sparks, the nitzazad, successfully extracted from the iron furnace.
Let's lock this concept in with one more amazing quote, this time from the Pri Etz Chaim, the fruit of the tree of life. It says, when Zer Anpin returns to the state of pregnancy inside the supernal mother, the flow is protected from the external forces. To translate this intense mystical concept back to our analogy, to survive Egypt, the system essentially went into safe mode. It entered Ibor, a state of pregnancy, hiding itself completely inside the larger network so the hostile matrix couldn't steal its data or drain its vitality. It is the absolute ultimate divine firewall.
Okay, so the firewall is up, the sparks are being systematically extracted, the population is scaling massively. But you can't stay in the sandbox forever, right? Eventually we have to ask, how does the system finally break out? What exactly happens when the incubation hits its absolute limit, the player base is fully leveled up, and the vessel is totally complete?
Well, it results in a total system-wide integration. The texts describe the Exodus not as a frantic, chaotic escape from slavery, but as a highly planned, triumphant system override. The sparks have been fully gathered from the klipo, the da'at, that concealed knowledge, is suddenly and blindingly revealed to the whole world. The hidden trickle of Yesod becomes a massive, undeniable surge of divine light. And the protective sandbox of Goshen finally dissolves, not because it failed, but because the fully grown system is now stepping out to reclaim the entire network. The incubation is over, the breakout is complete.
What an absolutely incredible way to look at growth within darkness. It leaves us with a profound question to ponder. If the greatest expansion of light requires a temporary descent into the shadows, what hidden Goshens are you currently incubating within your own life's challenges? Thank you for joining us for this complete journey through the Par Days. We hope these ancient truths help you and your family improve your own dimensions this week. If you enjoyed this full chapter deep dive, please like, subscribe, and share which part of the journey touched your soul in the comments. We'll see you in the next chapter.